Hello and welcome to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host and City Manager Doug Bartosh, and we're here today with Rick Contreras, who's our Fire Marshal, and also Al Ponce, who is our Ordinance Enforcement Officer. And we're here to talk basically code enforcement. And this is an important issue for our community because obviously when things don't look good in a neighborhood, it can just cause all kinds of problems in terms of further deterioration of the neighborhood, inviting crime in, and also lowers property values. And so this has been an important issue for us, and we know it's an important issue for the community as well through our citizen satisfaction survey. This tends to be a very high priority issue for our citizens, is making sure our city's clean and their neighborhoods are clean. And so, Rick, let's start with you. What are the things you focus on in terms of code enforcement in our neighborhoods?
Well, it depends on the time of year, but seasonal, like this time of year when the temperatures are extremely warm and it's really volatile out there for fire danger, weeds and those kind of illegal items, like the homes you're talking about that are unsightly. We go and make sure people are trying to be compliant and getting rid of those weeds like they're supposed to. We try and work with folks. We give them like 15 to 30-day notice depending on the situation, and if we need to follow up from that, then it ends up going through the legal process. We're also, again, extremely volatile situation right now with our current weather, and there's a strict fire ban across northern Arizona and pretty much statewide, and we're enforcing that. We want to do prevention. We want to make sure people don't get hurt, lose their home, lose any lives or property.
Yeah, and I know we just, I think our police department recently cited somebody who was doing like campfires in their backyard, and people don't realize just how volatile it could be in terms of this dry weather right now.
Absolutely, and we always try and encourage people in the fall and winter. We do have a permit process for legal burning that at certain times of year. Right now it's closed, but we try and get people to burn their weeds when it's safe to do so. And a lot of jurisdictions throughout northern Arizona have the same process. You go get your permit and you follow the rules and try and be proactive as possible. And we have a great working relationship with Cottonwood PD as well, and it's a great partnership, and we try and enhance that. And we are truly here to serve our citizens. We want to do a good job.
Okay. And Al, I know you wear many hats,
yes.
From animal control to code enforcement,
right.
But what's your major issue out there in terms of code enforcement?
Well, there's a whole bunch, like you say. The job has encompassed a whole bunch of different things that the city has found itself having to take care of. We kind of say it's from animal control to zoning. So we do, as Rick says, a lot of abandoned buildings, abandoned vehicles that we look at. We try to get them removed and get a situation taken care of. We work with property owners to clean up yards that are just piled high with all sorts of stuff, appliances and mattresses and the weed issues and dead trees and things like that. A big portion of our job, of course, is animal control, which is what originally this job was, but it's kind of, as I said,
morphed.
It's morphed into all sorts of stuff. And we are up for taking care of aggressive animals that are loose. We look for strays. We work with neighborhoods on some of the feral cat issues that we have. Abandoned animals. When people move away, they seem to leave pets behind. And there's other things too. We do some parking enforcement in between everything else. And we're out there on accident scenes helping the police department and the fire department keep control of traffic. And when, like, we're going into monsoon season, if the signals go out, we probably get stuck on an intersection somewhere, having to direct traffic. So it's a multifaceted job. We work with the community development department also in checking on zoning and business licenses and those types of things. People running businesses out of a home that's zoned for a residential area, or they have a business that's not doing proper maintenance of the property, or they're doing things that are just not according to the ordinances and the zoning laws of the city.
Okay. And I think what I'll do is kind of give you guys a little quiz so we can educate the people out there as to what the ordinances are, because I think a lot of people don't know what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. So in terms of weeds, Rick, what does our ordinance talk about?
Well, you know, we follow, in our ordinance, we adopted the 2009 International Fire Code, and it's specific, you know, you got to be clean. Now, house to house, it could vary because of the different terrain in different areas. You know, we have a lot of natural common areas in some of our subdivision. We get a lot of complaints about that, but it's very controlled. We want to have that defensible space. But anything over 6 to 8 inches, typically, you know, we want them removed. We want those weeds removed. Everybody's quick to note that it's a fire hazard on a situation. We'll go inspect it for ourselves, evaluate it, and then react to that. You know, every situation is different, but we want people to be as proactive as possible and to remediate these weeds and nuisances, not only for everything that Al just said, but you know, rodent populations and all those things. A clean home is a safe home. And we all owe it to our own neighbors and our community to be good neighbors. And so we want to, you know, attempt to work all together and try and remediate some of these problems.
You know, I know the other thing you look at too, Rick, is you get involved in a lot of the building projects, and what are you generally looking for when you look at plans for a new structure?
Well, you know, as fire marshal, you know, there's a kind of a common theme. The 3 E's of fire prevention is education, engineering, and enforcement. And the engineering, you know, making sure that the buildings are built per the International Fire Code and the International Building Code. In Cottonwood, we have a great ordinance with sprinklers. So we have sprinklers. We make sure they're installed correctly per NFPA 13. We want to make sure the fire alarm's installed correctly, and I test all these things as well before we accept it, and that has to be done per NFPA 72. And hydrants and road access fire lanes, many faceted things, and we just work with the building department, compliance, and planning and zoning to make sure all these are built correctly. Another, you know, part of that sprinkler ordinance is our residential houses are all fire sprinkled, and that's great. That's like having a firefighter at your house 24/7. But even better, you don't have to feed them. You can't beat that.
And that could get expensive.
Yeah, that can. So we're proud of our ordinance, and the 3 best cities in Arizona are Scottsdale, Arizona, Cottonwood, Arizona, and Lake Havasu City. Outstanding sprinkler ordinances, and our community is very safe with that. We've had, as you know, many fires that have started and got knocked out because of our sprinklers, and we were there to help put out the rest of the fire and help the situation even better.
And certainly I can't think of a fire we've had in the city where sprinklers were present that we've lost a life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's usually those areas where we don't have sprinklers, and you know, and maybe we're getting off topic a little bit here, but I know one of the big concerns among you know, our firefighters now is hoarding. And
yes.
you know, if there's hoarding going on inside the home, usually there's hoarding going on outside the home as well. Talk a little bit about the dangers of that in terms of a fire situation.
It is amazing how many fires we've gone to and gone interior in a home, just like you're talking about, the hoarding. Like we could barely get through the hallways or through the bedrooms, and it is very dangerous for not only the folks that live there, but for us as firefighters. I can't see Al this close to me when I'm in a fully charged house full of smoke. It's so black and dark, extremely dangerous. Every time we go to these fires, I always tell the guys, it's amazing to me across the country or across the world that more firefighters aren't killed in these houses like this. And like I said earlier, a clean home is a safe home. This hoarding situation is a difficult situation for them and us. Even people with nice, clean homes that have a residential fire can get lost in their own homes. It's very common. People in the middle of the night get lost in their house and can't get out. It just makes it that much harder with a hoarding house.
And I think that was, even though that wasn't a fire that occurred in Cottonwood, I think in the villages, we, a couple months back, had at least 1 or 2 fatalities
yes.
associated with a
yes.
situation very similar to that.
Right.
A lot of stuff in the, I think it was a single wide trailer.
Yes, and victims found close to the doors but never got out, and you think, oh, I can get out of my house real easy. Every day people get killed in their homes, and typically at night, and it really affects the seniors and the children. And you know, we really enforce and try and get people to create a safety plan in their home and no 2 ways out minimum, and a meeting place and working smoke detectors within their structure.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Let's go ahead and take our first break and come back and join us and learn a little bit more about code enforcement.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
We need a claim number? When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving. We're here to help.
Welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host, Doug Bartosh. We're here with Al Ponce and Rick Contreras talking about code enforcement. And I just quizzed Rick, and he passed with flying colors. And so now we'll move on to Al. And Al, you know, I think probably the common things we see are junk cars.
Right.
That's a biggie.
Right. Junk cars, mattresses, appliances in the yard. Rick was talking about hoarders. We have people who hoard old automobiles in their yards and things like that, and they become an issue later on because weeds grow in them. We have cats that live in them sometimes, and wild animals like squirrels. So we're always trying to get those cleaned up and out of the way.
So, for instance, say junk cars. I mean, basically, what does the ordinance require?
Well, it requires that actually you can have 2 cars, but you have to keep them in your backyard, and they have to be screened from sight so none of your neighbors see them. Anything else beyond 2 vehicles is considered a violation. So they have to be removed. If a person doesn't remove the violation, whether it's automobiles or another facet of the zoning ordinance, they'll be cited and placed in court and have to come to the court in 30 days to tell the hearing officer why they have this stuff and what's going on. And we do it pretty regularly now. It's getting more and more cases. We're trying to clean up the city as best we can. People come and go, and sometimes when they show up, they bring lots of stuff with them. So we try to educate the people first. Some of our more long-term residents, we try to get them to understand the law, and they'll tell us, well, it was never like that before, but it has been, or it is something new, because we've revamped some of our ordinances to be more concurrent with what's going on in the rest of the country. We have these TV shows now that talk about hoarding and stashing stuff and things that are just neighborhood blights. So we're trying to educate the community. We work really hard at getting a lot of the more trashy incidents cleaned up. And sometimes it's not really the people that are doing it, it's animals that are in the area. And it can be dogs, it can be cats, it can be birds. We've had ravens that are pulling things out of dumpsters on the street before. So we always look at these things and say, why is this neighborhood a mess and what's going on? Sometimes these things are, as I said, a zoning issue, and someone will do something that's not supposed to be done on that property. We'll try to educate them, and we'll go through the whole process and give them some time to work it out. Most people are being compliant. There's a few people that, for whatever reason, don't want to comply, so they'll have to appear before the hearing. But most people are like, oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah. Or I thought about it, I've been wanting to do it, but I never got to it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think that's an important part of this show today is we know not everybody knows what the rules are, and so, as Al said, most of the people are anxious to comply and get their yards cleaned up, and it really does help the neighborhood. I mean, it seems like a little bit, but it really does help. And I think things have changed probably over the last 5 years, in that code enforcement used to be predominantly complaint driven, and we moved to a proactive program where, as we see things, we get them taken care of rather than waiting for somebody to call. And obviously, what we're seeing is that that's pretty well supported by the community.
Oh, and we've even worked together, like, to canvass some certain areas and to make sure that we can get ahead of the game if possible. To notify people early stages of any of those kind of issues.
And probably, and I don't want to pick on rental property owners, but obviously one of our concerns is the high percentage of rental properties in our city, and they do tend to be more of the problem versus owner-occupied properties. How does that work?
A lot of times we find the rentals have multi-issues. First of all, a lot of the property owners are out of town. They live in other states. So when we get to these properties, as part of the law, we have to contact them, let them know that there's a problem. Sometimes that takes time to get done. Being a rental property, sometimes they're very transient. People come in for a month and they build a house, or they move to another part of town, or whatever it may be. And so sometimes when they leave, there's stuff left behind, or there's things that were there when they got there that are still there.
Yeah.
So it's an ongoing thing. There are homes that are rented, though, that are just very nice. People take care of them. But as I say, there's a lot of transient population that comes and goes through the whole community. So we're always having to keep an eye on that.
And now when you see a problem, do you contact the owner of the property or the renter?
Well, first of all, we'll see who is there, if anybody's home. People work. We'll spend time finding out who is the actual owner of the property, and then we go from there. We just start making contact, and we'll leave things on the front door, notices, flyers like these little flyers here, and we'll just leave them on the front door, and hopefully they'll contact us. If they don't, we'll keep coming back for a while and trying to make a contact with them and catch them at home. Sometime they'll be home, and explain to them what's going on.
And it's probably important for our viewers to know, particularly those that are concerned about this issue, is we're now handling probably 300-400 of these a year, I think.
Yeah, it's climbed quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we try to keep track of them. Sometimes it's like, we've got to get back there and double check that. And as I say, people move and things change and things get cleaned up, and then sometimes it comes right back.
Yeah.
So we're always having to go out and monitor neighborhoods all over the town.
It can be a challenge,
yes.
No doubt about it. So, I think the other issue that I see a lot is graffiti. Mm-hmm. And what happens when somebody reports graffiti?
Well, we'll go down, first of all, we'll send a police department officer down and have them take a look at it, because it may be gang related. It may be some kind of threat or something that we don't see or they're aware of. So they'll take pictures of it, we'll take pictures of it, and what happens on our end, once the police is out of the way, we will contact the owner, whoever it may be, whether it's the highway department or a business or a residence, and we'll tell them that under the law and the city ordinance, they're responsible for cleaning that up. And that means they've got to paint over it, make it look as best as it was originally. In the law, it says that you have 48 hours. We know that some people aren't going to be able to respond quickly in 48 hours, so we do what we can. We don't want them to drag it on forever, but we'll work with them and get them to comply with that. There's a lot of it that is pseudo-gang related, or what we have taggers.
Wannabe gang.
Wannabe gangs, and we have people that are just taggers. They enjoy it. Yeah. It's a game, and they're very hard to catch. You never really see them. So even though we try to sometimes watch our hotspot areas, a lot of times it's done at night or early in the morning or some day when we're not around for whatever reason. So it's a constant battle, but we have community organizations, volunteer, and those that the city ends up having to pay to clean up some of that, especially if it's a large project or something that's it's unsightly. A lot of times the graffiti is just in one little area, or it's just something small that can be taken care of quickly. But there's other areas where it's, you know, been going on, or they just went crazy and did a whole bunch of it all at once. Some of our bridges are that way.
Yeah. You know, and I think it's important for people to recognize the reason we want it off so quickly is if you leave it on there, it just encourages more. And so the quicker you get it off, and these folks who go around and do this, it's an ego thing for them. You know, it's fun for them to go around and say, oh, geez, I painted up that, I painted that, I did that. And it is kind of a game. They can show their friends how, you know, how much they get around town, I guess. But and we feel your pain because a lot of the graffiti is done on city property, and so, you know, there's time, you know, spent doing that. There's an expense in getting it cleaned up, but boy, it really makes a difference in terms of the look of your community. You go into a community where there's graffiti all over the place, and it just, again, sends that message that, boy, I don't know if I want to be here. It's a pretty scary place.
Yeah, I've seen some places in California that, man,
unbelievable.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, I think the important message is if you see graffiti out there, give us a call so we can get it taken care of as quickly as possible. And we really rely on everybody's help to try and keep our city clean. Come back and join us, and we'll hit a couple more important topics on code enforcement with Rick and Al.
Good one, son.
Last summer, my new dad took me on vacation. First, we went deep sea fishing. Wow!
I'm so proud of you, son.
And then we went on Thunder Shark. That was awesome! Let's go again. 3 times. I gotta say, it was pretty cool.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Oh, not again.
Welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I'm your host, Doug Bartosh, and I'm here with Rick Contreras and Al Ponce talking about code enforcement. So, you know, probably by the time the viewers see this, 4th of July may be over, but it's probably still an important topic to talk about in terms of fireworks, what is allowed, what isn't allowed in our city.
Yeah, yes, and it's a very important topic because not only during the 4th of July, but other parts of the year, you know, we live in a desert community. It's very dry, very volatile again, and right now there's a complete ban against fireworks. In the city of Cottonwood, you are not allowed to shoot them off at any time of the year. You know, for state law, they could sell off safe and sane fireworks at the local stores, but they're not allowed to shoot them off within the city limits. Currently in northern Arizona, you can't shoot them off anywhere. They're always illegal in our forest lands. So we've gone to many fort fires, the kids playing with fireworks and matches and lighters, and we've had you know, various fires across the city over the years at various times of the year. And we want to really get the word out that there's a zero tolerance policy right now. And first offense is $250 fine. Second offense, $500, and then it goes on to misdemeanor and that kind of thing. And we work with PD on this. Like you said, this won't be aired maybe till after 4th of July. But we have a lot of illegal firework activity going on the 4th of July, and it's kind of scary, you know, because people really don't know what they're doing. The fireworks that the city of Cottonwood shoot off are very controlled under a licensed shooter. We meet with these folks throughout the year. We will have a task force team at the shoot site with various other departments and the Forest Service helping us out to control any mishaps or something that may happen. But we have it, it's very laid out and it's very structured. And so I've had people ask me, well, how come the city could shoot off fireworks but you don't allow them? Well, it specifically says in our ordinance that a licensed dealer, there's like $20 million insurance there too, so the common citizen doesn't have that. So we've had a great safety record. We're very proud of our fireworks. As you know, we get a lot of great compliments on it, and we want to continue to celebrate our nation's independence and have a safe show, for our community to enjoy.
Yeah, and probably the important part is like you say, we have all kinds of fire help right there.
Absolutely.
In case there's anything that goes wrong.
What people don't realize, we have a truck stage in the neighborhoods, and like I said, it's from various other departments and our department. We make sure we're always operational ready at our station, and so is the other stations. So all the other calls that may happen besides the fireworks, that we're ready to go, fully staffed. So it's very well planned out, and it's a great partnership with not only the shooting company, but with PD and other jurisdictions, and we're happy to do it.
Well, and let's face it, one of the reasons we do the fireworks show is to discourage people from doing their own little show, that presenting something that is well thought out, very good fireworks show, very well controlled, versus everybody going out and kind of doing their own thing. And that's when you end up with fires, people getting injured, those kind of things. And again, like you say, we've had a great record, no problems with this, and again, hopefully it discourages people from doing their own. Yeah,
I fully believe, like I said, the record's great. It wouldn't be the professional fireworks shoot that cause a big fire. It's going to be these illegal fireworks that the folks are shooting in their neighborhoods and across, weeds everywhere and those kind of things, and we don't want any of that type of fire. It puts their life at danger, their property, but it puts our life at danger, and we want to reduce that risk as much as we can.
And the other thing is, we're under a fire ban right now. And define what that means for people in terms of barbecues, fires, those kind of things.
Yeah, there's various different stages in the Forest Service and other jurisdictions, but in Cottonwood, we kind of have just a basic stage where, we're not allowing any warming fires, open fires in people's homes in the backyard. You can't have charcoal fires. You can have LP fires with your barbecue grill, as long as it has a working lid and a functioning on and off switch. We want to encourage people to have their defensible space. Don't be even using a safe barbecue grill when there's weeds around. We've had a lot of incidents where we have barbecue fires with a perfectly good barbecue grill. Things happen and they catch on fire. We used to say the fire ban ran kind of June to monsoon, but the last 2 years, it's been, this year was May 15th, last year I think it was May 22nd. We had to shut it down because we've been so dry, no rain in the winter. So it's very volatile, and we just want to make sure, really try and get the message out for people to help us to not have any fires.
And I think it's also important for people to know that in terms of our fireworks show, the fire chief has the authority to say right up to the last minute, we're not doing this. The conditions are too dangerous, and we listen to our fire personnel who are the experts, and so that's how important this time of the year is in terms of preventing fires.
Absolutely. The fire chief and myself will be right at the shoot, and it's scheduled for about 9 o'clock every year, and if the winds, tomorrow the factor is going to be winds, and if it's too windy, we won't allow them to shoot. And so it is what it is. We got to go with safety first, and then we'll continue on. So I remember a few years back, 4th of July, Rodeo Chedeschi fire was going on, and we didn't shoot fireworks on the 4th of July. We ended up shooting them on 9/11. And I think it ended up working out pretty good at that time. So there are times where even if we have the fireworks, we're not going to shoot them.
Yeah, which again makes sense, and safety is the number one issue.
Absolutely, we got to protect our community.
So, last question now. In terms of what citizens can do about helping clean up their neighborhood, any particular advice?
Well, just keep an eye on it. If you do see something, call the Community Development Department at 634-5505. Contact us or the lady that answers the phone there. We'll be happy to take a message and forward it to us. If it's something urgent or something that they after hours or something, they can call the police department dispatch center, and the police department will let us know about it. And that number is 649-1397.
Okay.
And they can call that one any time of the day or night.
Okay. All right. You know, and I think it is important to say, you know, we're all in this together. We all want a clean, quality of life community to live in. So, you know, help us not only by reporting what you may think is a violation, certainly graffiti, and most importantly, by keeping your own property clean and orderly, so that you know, you're not impacting your neighbors. And we'd really appreciate it, and I know in the end we all benefit from a very clean community. Thanks for joining us on Inside Cottonwood, and we'll see you again soon.